What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Figuring It Out Finance podcast, where we talk about travel hacking, personal finance, life hacks, and real estate. My name is Chris Riggenball, and I am your host. A bit about me: I left a low-paying sales job to jump into real estate. So right now, I just completed my second flip, and as of today, we're going ahead and offering on a couple more properties, looking to get another couple flips done before the end of the year. So super exciting stuff. And before I jump into today's episode, you can find out all about me on figuringitoutfinance.com, where you can sign up for my weekly newsletter and stay up to date on everything I'm doing, all the deals I'm trying to put together, or just keep tuning into the podcast on wherever you find your podcasts. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Figuring It Out Finance as well. So today's podcast is going to be all about real estate partnerships, and that's going to be this week's book of the week. It's going to be Real Estate Partnerships by Tony J. Robinson and Ashley Kehr. So if you're familiar with the Bigger Pockets podcast, Tony J. Robinson and Ashley Kehr are both the hosts of The Rookie Show. So I listen to that one pretty frequently, if not just about every single episode that comes out. So I've learned so much from those guys. And when they put out their book, I didn't pick it up right away. But now that I'm out of a normal income job and in real estate full time, I've had to look at some different options on how to make a living. So if I wanted to be in real estate, I knew I had to find a partner. So I have, I would say, a couple partners right now, and the one I do a little bit of work for, not like on a daily thing, but I look for opportunities for her in relisting since she's an agent. And then I found a money partner who partnered with me on my first real flip that I've documented here on the podcast, which closes at the end of this month. So dealing with the partnerships, I said, well, it's probably a good idea for me to be able to pick up this book. Maybe it gives me a couple ideas on how to structure these. Maybe I can do it a little bit better on the next one, just to make everybody feel a little bit more comfortable, find new questions to ask, and kind of go from there. So in today's episode, we're going to go through different parts of the book on why you would need a partner, how to find and vet a partner, and then how to structure and manage a partnership. So jumping right in here. So what are some of the reasons you would need a partner? So Tony and Ashley both listed here, you might not have the time, the money, knowledge or experience, or the confidence to start in real estate. So partnering with somebody, coming from the time perspective, you might work normal 9-to-5 jobs. You might have a family, so you don't have that time to be able to go looking for real estate deals, but you might have the money to. So you would look for somebody, so since you have the money, you would find somebody that's already kind of in that real estate space, that's hunting for deals and would be able to make a return on your money. So if you don't have money, you have all the time in the world, kind of like me right now, you would go find the people with money looking to make a little bit of a return on it that maybe don't have the time or the knowledge to be able to go and do one of these flips or be in real estate and make money off of their money. And then, so you would want, maybe you don't have the knowledge or experience, but you have money as well. So you're going to partner with somebody who has a lot more experience doing that. So that's where, in my own little personal story, I found somebody who is doing this pretty much daily. And then I found a person with money, but I had the confidence and I had the confidence and the time to be able to do this. I just didn't have a great experience in it, but I'm using it all as a learning process. So when these deals do start rolling in, I'm able to go to partners and say, hey, here's where I need help. This is what I need. And they're going to be able to trust me a lot more because I've worked with a lot of different people and I've been learning this entire time. So also, why you would need a partner is in your business, in partnering with somebody, you would need a visionary and you would need an integrator. So a visionary kind of has that broader idea of what the business looks like, where they need to go, and the ideas. And then you would need an integrator. So somebody to be able to go, perform that vision for you. So, it's hard. It's one thing to have the vision, but do you have the capability to go out there and just make it happen? So that's where finding an integrator is so important. And then if you're somebody who can just get crap done, you need to be able to find somebody with that bigger vision to be able to kind of direct you in a certain way. So that's where it's a little bit interesting right now, as I kind of have a little bit of an idea about where I want to go. I have it all written down on where I want to go, how I want to do it. But the problem is, being the integrator, I just don't think that's exactly where my strengths are. Can I make the calls? Can I do that? Yes, but it's not my strong suit. My strong suit is going to be able to find the deal, get the numbers, have the idea for the house, and then kind of hand it off to somebody else to say, okay, here's exactly what we need, go through the renovation process. So that's something I'm going to be looking for in the future here, as maybe we were able to close on this house maybe here within the next 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll be able to get it under contract by the end of the week, and I'll update everybody on Friday here on the podcast and see where we're at with those things. So moving on here, how to find and vet a partner. So how do you find somebody that's interested in the same thing you are? Well, real estate meetups are going to be probably the best way to find other people interested in real estate, but you need to be telling everybody that you're interested in real estate, because when people start becoming an agent, one of the first things they always tell you is, don't be a secret agent. So if you're an agent, you got to be the one hosting the pool parties, hosting the cookouts. You got to be everywhere. They have to like, know, and trust you. So that's another part of that, how to find and vet a partner, is you have to find somebody who you know, like, and trust. So with being everywhere, being friends with a lot of people, they're going to know your name. They're going to want you to sell their house or help them buy a house. So being in that space where everybody's talking about it, making sure your name is out there, that you're doing that. Now, if you're an investor, you're just telling people, hey, like, you might have a W-2, but I'm an investor in real estate. So I'm looking to get some opportunities. I'm looking to make money. So how do you do that? And somebody could say, oh, well, where are you struggling? Where are you looking? And they could say, well, I don't exactly have the money to be able to go and invest. And that person could have a ton of money in a 401k, retirement funds that is just kind of sitting in there earning a low percentage, to where you guys could partner up and he could earn 10 to 15% off of that money on a flip in a lot shorter amount of time, and be able to grow his portfolio, and then just kind of go in there and partner a little bit from there. So definitely different ways to do it. And Tony and Ashley really go through a lot of the different steps on how to find and vet that person, because a lot of what I got from the book was I'm learning how to ask better questions. So one of my latest partnerships, who I've partnered with on my latest flip, we're looking at getting a couple Airbnbs, and I said, all right, well, here, when we find something, can we pull the trigger? But we need to sit down and we really need to nail down where our specific parts are going to be. And he's like, all right, well, man, we'll share it 50-50. And then I say, okay, well, what does 50-50 really mean while running an Airbnb? Am I finding it? Am I managing it? Am I the one furnishing it? Do I have, where is my part going to be? So being able to really break that down, have it written down, and through the other business books that I've read, they're able to kind of draw that business tree, I'm going to call it. I don't think that's the right term that they used, but it was the E-Myth that really broke that down, saying you need to write down every single piece that you're doing in your business, and then that's going to make your hiring process a little bit easier. So say there's 5 different pieces and one is a salesperson. or somebody's finding deals. So eventually you're going to be finding somebody to find deals for you. And then you're going to be, okay, well, you're managing rentals. So who are you going to be able to hire, whether that's a company or a person, to be able to manage those rentals? Then who's managing the property management company? So being able to draw that tree out, and I know that's a different book, but being able to list everything down, where your strengths are, what jobs you're doing. So when you grow, it's a lot easier to hire and it's a lot easier to partner because you know exactly what your role is in that business. And then you're having those monthly meetings or basically annual meetings to go over, where you guys are at and reevaluating the partnership. So I kind of dipped into it here, but coming into the last main section here is how to structure and manage a partnership. Now, I'm not going word for word off of the book, but they had so many great stories in there that you'd probably have to get the book to be able to, just read through them, because they get very, very creative on how to do that, because everybody's wants and needs are a little bit different. So it's not a one size fits all for every partnership, and that's the point Ashley and Tony keep making in the book. Like, it's not that one size fits all thing to where it's like, okay, here's how you structure every partnership, because everybody wants something different. So not everything is going to be 50-50 in the partnership, and then you have to ask, well, what does 50-50 really mean? Like, what are we doing in this? What are all the little parts in this business that are going to be coming up? So that's a lot of the things going through my mind. And I think it was such a great book to read at this stage, because I'm able to, get a little bit of knowledge before I really dive in deep. But I've already gotten my feet wet with the partnerships, with the money, how we went and got a notary saying that I am being lent this much money and it's owed back by this amount. Here's the penalties. Here's how he's going to be paid back, and this and that. So we had the general structure down. It's just, all right, what else is in there? It's like, okay, well, we are going to have a phone call once a week about this flip. So I knew it was my first one that I was using, like hard money, true flip, that I was going to be doing, because I did run and manage my own renovation on my personal house. So I did have a little bit of knowledge and experience, and then he brought in a little knowledge and experience, but he said, hey, here's what I'm going to give you. You go and do your thing. So obviously that went pretty well, because we're looking for Airbnbs. We're looking to partner on another deal. So we're having some more conversation on what that looks like, where we want to go with it. And hopefully we'll be able to have something here pretty soon. But the main thing there is why I added in, hey, a phone call once a week. Ashley and Tony kind of say that you need to have one meeting annually, at least one annual meeting. So with somebody who's a little bit new, like we both were in my partnership, we were able to say, okay, well, to make you comfortable, and I know this is like starting out, it's a little bit new, we're going to have a phone call. It doesn't matter if it's 2 minutes, like, hey, everything's good. All right, sounds good. Hop off the phone. But we're going to have a phone call. We're going to be communicating through this process. I know I want him to be comfortable. I want him to trust me. And that was the best way for me to be able to do it, saying, hey, here's where we're at on the flip. So that's something I'll probably add in. Maybe if we have a longer flip, it might be bi-weekly, it might be weekly, but constant communication, being able to be on the same page so that, if something comes up, you're both on the same page, kind of a basically just trying to be on that same page there, like I keep saying. But communication, always key. And then one of the last parts they talked about was having an exit strategy planned if a partner wants to go out or something happens to them. So whether that's something all the way, like a death, a sickness, what happens in those situations? What if somebody wants out of the partnership? Tony, I believe, said in any of his partnerships that they're holding for a longer period of time, they always reassess after 5 years whether they want to sell. and then they're able to go from there. And then if they do want to sell, how do they work that out? Because they're going to want their equity out, and then how do you go about that? So having that all kind of pre-planned in the beginning, it's a little bit, I think, overkill to think about, but if you ever get into one of those situations, it's so smart. And I think listening to the Bigger Pockets Money podcast, they had a lot of people who have gone through divorces on there and gone through the money part of that. And they said, if you just set up a, I can't think of the word, or if you sign a prenup, you're going to have a lot of those things taken care of in the event that this happens. Now, obviously, you're not planning for the divorce, but you have it all planned out and saying, hey, this is where all of this is going to go. Our assets, our money, our house, it's all going to be pre-planned, and that's going to make that divorce a lot cleaner. And that's what all of them have said. So it's not as dramatic as that, but it's basically the same thing. Understanding like, hey, if this were to go sour, we already have it planned out on how somebody's going to be cashed out and exit the business while this person takes over. So having that all pre-planned out is going to make it just so much simpler. And that's what both Ashley and Tony have stories about. So in closing here, so if you're going into the real estate space, you can grow a lot quicker and do a lot more by not doing it all yourself and partnering with others. So that's why I like this book so much, because of the real stories. It helps me get creative in my own partnerships, especially with the position I'm in right now. And I wouldn't have the ability to do a flip without the partnering and learning from the Bigger Pockets podcast, like the Real Estate Rookie Show that Tony and Ashley are both hosts on. I've just gotten so much great information, whether it's planning out the rehabs, whether it's listening to the stories, the way Ashley goes room by room and writes down everything about the house. I did that on both of my flips, and it made it so much easier for the contractor. And then you build out that list and put links for all of the little things that you have to end up buying. And that makes it just so much cleaner. And that's listening to just a couple podcasts talking about her rehabs and renovations. And then Tony, he's getting into the boutique motels. So it's just a completely different space and how he manages and what they're able to do with his Airbnbs. And it's, it just gets you thinking, like, you never know what that one sentence in that one podcast or book is going to teach you or hit you. So I do listen to this one very, very frequently. I rarely miss an episode. Same with the Bigger Pockets podcast and then the Bigger Pockets Money podcast. Big podcast guy over here. But that's why I listen. And then it's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing just enough to get started and then learning along the way and having that real real world experience rather than just reading a book is going to take you so much farther. So listening to the podcast while you're going through these situations, it's so beneficial. And then just learning the stories on how to get creative, whether that's a real estate deal or a real estate partnership, you're just able to learn from everybody and say, oh, that's interesting. Maybe we should try that. So that's all I got for today. Highly, highly recommend Real Estate Partnerships by Tony J. Robinson and Ashley Kehr. They're from the Bigger Pockets Rookie Show. Love the show, love the podcast, and love the book now. So that's all I got for today. That's Chris Rickenbaugh, or I'm Chris Rickenbaugh, signing off here for the Figuring It Out Finance podcast. I'll be back on Friday with episode 43. Not sure what it's going to be just yet, but I appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you then.